All right, let's dive in. We're talking about a drug that's honestly a cornerstone of modern medicine, cefepime. Now, this isn't just any old antibiotic. Think of it more like a specially engineered weapon, one we use in our ongoing fight against some of the planet's most dangerous bacteria. So let's break down how this super antibiotic actually works.
So to really get why cefepime is such a big deal, you got to understand the problem it was built to solve. For decades, right, we've leaned heavily on antibiotics. But here's the thing. Bacteria are smart. They evolve, they adapt, they build up defenses. And this global problem, you've probably heard of it, is called antibiotic resistance. What that really means is that the drugs that used to save millions of lives, well, they're starting to fail.
And when those old guards can't protect us anymore, that's when science has to step in. You see, in this battle against superbugs, we don't just stumble upon new weapons. We literally have to design them, engineer them, with very specific enemies in mind. Cefepime, it's one of those engineered heroes, built from the ground up to win where the others couldn't.
Okay, so who's the villain in this whole story? Well, it's not actually a single type of bacteria. It's a defense mechanism that a whole bunch of them started using. Let's take a look at the main weapon that made so many of our older antibiotics pretty much obsolete.
Yeah, this right here is the problem. Bacteria started churning out these enzymes called beta-lactamases, and the best way to think about them is like molecular scissors. I mean, they're designed to do one thing: find the core structure of antibiotics like penicillin and just snip them apart. They get destroyed before they can even do their job. Totally useless.
So, okay, you've got bacteria running around with these molecular scissors. We needed a hero that couldn't be cut. And that's where cefepime comes in. It's what's called a fourth-generation cephalosporin. And believe me, it was a huge leap forward for our antibiotic arsenal.
You see, each generation of these antibiotics was a serious upgrade. They were designed to be better than the one before, maybe broaden their range or beef up their defenses. But cefepime, our fourth-gen hero, it was built for a very specific mission: to take on bacteria that had already figured out how to beat the older drugs. So what's the secret sauce? What makes cefepime so special? How does it just waltz past all these bacterial defenses? Well, the answer is all in its unique molecular structure. And we're not talking about a minor tweak here. This was a fundamental redesign. And this lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the older drugs. They were totally vulnerable to those molecular scissors we talked about, and frankly, they had a tough time even getting inside certain bacteria. But then you look at cefepime. It was redesigned from the ground up to resist those scissors and to be way better at actually penetrating the cell to do its job. It's a huge upgrade in both defense and offense.
Let's break down its two main superpowers, because this is pretty cool. First up is what we're calling the master key. Its structure has both a positive and a negative charge. The technical term is zwitterionic. And this dual charge helps it slip right through the little entry channels of gram-negative bacteria. And those are the ones with the really tough armored outer walls. Then, it's got the shield. Its molecular core is just so inherently stable that those beta-lactamase scissors, they just can't get a good grip. They can't cut it apart.
Okay, so our hero has slipped past the guards and is inside the fortress. Now what? How does cefepime actually deliver that final killer blow? Well, the process is nothing short of brilliant molecular sabotage.
And this is the end game, right here, in 3 simple steps. First, infiltration. Cefepime gets inside and latches onto these really important pieces of construction machinery. They're called penicillin binding proteins, or PBPs. Step 2, sabotage. As soon as it binds, it shuts down the bacterium's ability to build or repair its own cell wall, and that leads directly to step 3, self-destruction. The wall gets weaker and weaker until it just can't handle the pressure inside anymore, and the whole thing, it just swells up and bursts. It's an absolutely lethal and brilliant mechanism. But you know, like any powerful hero, cefepime isn't perfect. It has a dark side. A weapon this potent has to be used with a ton of caution, because that very strength can sometimes lead to some pretty serious side effects. So let's start with a big one: allergies. If you have a known severe allergy to penicillin, there's something like a 5 to 10% chance you could react to cefepime too. It's called cross-reactivity, and you can bet that's a really critical thing for doctors to consider. And beyond allergies, there are other pretty significant risks. Probably the most serious is something called neurotoxicity. Cefepime can actually mess with the central nervous system, causing anything from confusion all the way to seizures.
It can also totally disrupt your gut's natural ecosystem, which can lead to a really dangerous infection called C. diff. And of course, like a lot of powerful drugs, it carries the risk of other allergic reactions, and it can even temporarily mess with your blood cell counts.
So here's the really crucial part. That risk of serious neurotoxicity, it's directly tied to how well a patient's kidneys are working. See, Cefepime is cleared out of the body by the kidneys. If your kidneys aren't working at 100%, the drug can build up to toxic levels. That's why adjusting the dose for patients with kidney issues isn't just, a friendly suggestion. It is absolutely mandatory. It's how you prevent really severe harm.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of the whole story. Cefepime is an incredible tool, for sure, but it is not a silver bullet, and using it correctly means knowing not just when to pull it out of the toolbox, but also when to leave it there.
This really shows why being precise is so important. I mean, Cefepime is a fantastic choice for fighting nasty hospital superbugs like Pseudomonas. It does a good job against regular old Staph aureus, but it's completely useless against its much scarier cousin, MRSA. And for other bacteria like Enterococcus or anaerobes, those are the ones that don't need oxygen, it's pretty weak on its own. It just proves this is a specialized weapon, right? Not a one-size-fits-all solution.
And this quote really nails the responsibility that comes with all this power. Antibiotic stewardship. That's the key phrase here. It basically means we have to be smart. We have to use powerful drugs like Cefepime wisely, saving them only for the really serious infections they were designed for. Why? To keep the bacteria from figuring out how to defeat this hero too.
So at the end of the day, Cefepime isn't just another drug on the shelf. It's a vital line of defense in a battle that we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Its whole story is a powerful reminder that with great power comes great responsibility. And that leaves us all with a pretty critical question. As bacteria just keep on evolving, are we doing enough to protect the few heroes we have left?